on the outside. There's an outside.
Right. Before just one sec. People coming in, there's actually some seats up here as well if you need seats.
There are 3 seats here.
Yeah. And there's more of there.
There should be a bench sitting on the side if you need to.
Yes.
On the side.
Please speak out loud.
I'll try my best. You change these lights? Change the. Let's replace it. There's more here.
Right.
Can you do full screen?
All right.
Yeah, it may not.
Hey, that. Yes. How do I change it? You're changing you're going to the business. But can you go back to because if you put a slideshow, you need to exit.
Hey, everybody,
Go up.
while this gets sorted, we do have some photographers in the room,
Then
and just wondering if anybody objects to having photos taken,
you need to be from the
and if you do, all right, please just let the photographer know.
view.
Yeah, because I think that's the best way to just manage that. Yeah. All right, cool. Thank you.
You need to be.
Okay. We love technology. We do. Ancestors, please help with that.
Maybe here.
Yeah. Cool. All right.
So you're gonna go. So, obrigado means thank you so much, and I'm from Brazil, and que o meu ser superior encontre o eu superior de todos vocês e honra. Que made my superior being honor your superior being and we all together. So in the first screen, you're gonna see a QR code that you need to go back. You're gonna see this QR code some in other screens, in other like places of the presentation. It's the new help website. We are just pre-launching, and we're gonna talk more about why Planetary Citizens is here as well. But please, the first question is this question that we asked ourselves maybe 7 years ago, and we've been asking that all the time. I think it's one question that is moving us to do more all the time, and to look our incoherence in a very tiny space. Like, what is my incoherence today? What is my incoherence this morning? What is my incoherence in this phrase that I just told? So I'm a vegan eating cheese, for example. So it's a big incoherence that I can't get rid of. And I'm looking at it. So the important thing is, like, we're not in an era of guilty anymore. We're in an era of repair, of transition. So knowing you're having a conscious incoherence is good. Let's see it as a good thing. So I also have this belief that we are spiritual beings living a material journey, which is different than the opposite version. We have spirits. Like, I don't believe that we have spirits. I believe the opposite. And because of that, can we change? It's important to see the beauty of things in a very unusual way. So I will also bring some pictures here to illustrate a connection that I have in my life and in our business. And we're going to talk about this global regeneration through these images. So the photographer is Araquém Alcântara. There's also the QR code for his website, and you can ask me later. And he's in this business, or in this art of photography, for 56 years. And he sent me some images from his work in the Amazon. And we were always discussing lately, like how it's difficult to see the beauty of Amazon being destroyed, or the beauty of the planet in general, the Amazon representing the planet. So one thing to remember is about the exercise we just did now, the breathing exercise. So if we do the same exercise for breathing for 1 minute, but we are not breathing for 20 seconds, that's what's the whole of the Amazon in your breathing. So it's 20 seconds of the air we are breathing coming from this, specifically this biome, which is 5% of the planet in terms of territory, the biggest aquifer in the planet. And there's no there's no accurate number about how many species live there, but one study in one canopy of one tree could map 1,000 types of beetles in one canopy of one tree. So the biodiversity is amazing. And and this exercise of breathing is in fact an exercise of remembering that, for example, the floating rivers study proved that the rain coming from the canopy of the trees of the Amazon were causing the rain in Paris. So the interdependence of the Sahara Desert coming to the Amazon makes that the other parts of the planet don't have a desertification because the Amazon absorbs it. So there's a whole respiration, a flow of systems of systems, as Fridtjof Capra used to say, and that we need to learn how to bring to this regeneration process. And I had this blessing of having Fridtjof Capra as a mentor for 3 years in personal meetings, and he taught me this. You can go to the next. This looking at this picture, that this is the Amazon today. This is how it looks like today. Last year was the first year in story that we had more carbon emissions than oxygen coming from the Amazon because of the amount of fire. And as I was telling what Fridtjof told me once, that we need to work on eco-literacy. We're not going to jump from this to regeneration, this to reforestation. We're going to go step by step. And it's like a alphabet literacy. We're going to start learning, and maybe someone will learn because we start learning with a bamboo toothbrush. And this is the entry door for that person. For the other person is because someone died, or so every person has a start on this eco-literacy journey, but there is no more time not to have a start. So there will be there's also in the middle of this a genocide of the indigenous tribes happening now. So many mining illegal mining people, is not companies, but they are like, it's like a civil war happening. They're putting mercury on the waters, so the tribes are getting contaminated. So yesterday I was reading 70% of the Yanomami tribe is already, the children are already contaminated, and the video shows the effect of the mercury on the synapses on the brain, just destroy the brain. So it's a long-term genocide. And that's the takeaway for me. Like, now regeneration is not a choice anymore. It used to be a choice 7 years ago when I started studying, and people were talking about ESG as a tool or something, but there's no more tool. We just need to, it's not a choice. That's it. That's why we are here. So can you please, we are talking about, again, the eco-literacy and the regeneration, that, and I summarize this as we need to leave this as a transition. So we are coming from a degenerative situation, and we are not transitioning as a switch button, we are transitioning as a dial button. Remember the eco-literacy. We've been to this sustainability thing, which is important. It was a huge transition since 1992 with this book, Most Beautiful, and the Eco 92 in Brazil, and there was a lot of efforts on measuring impact, but we need to dial up again, and there's a new moment now, which is about recovering or regenerating or regaining life or sequestrating carbon, as we say in Kiss the Ground. So, but this is still a process. It's still part of the journey. Maybe we're going to dial up again, and we're going to reach another place in the future I don't know if it's called harmony or I don't know, normal. And the next picture shows a little bit what maybe this looks like in the Amazon. This tree is called Samauma. I don't know if you realize it's a tree. The Samauma can reach about 500 years. This probably is 200, 250. And I'm participating on a project. We are mapping the Samauma with about 20,000 pictures. It's an artist from New Zealand called Joseph Michael. And we are putting that into an AR, so anyone in the planet will wear a glass and see in real dimension this tree, to bring this awareness, what is the dimension of a tree. But it's also a geolocation point in the Amazon. In the Amazon, you just go by places to other places by boat. So you know how many hours you are from the boat because you see a Samauma, because you calculate. Yeah, I never saw the canopy of a Samauma, for example, because it's the other trees cover it. So it's a beautiful entity, and I think regeneration will bring us back there, right? I hope I will. And the optimist thing to do, I think, is to think that we're in this beautiful transition together. Yeah, I want us to see this transition with optimism. Otherwise, we're gonna go to a Mad Max sci-fi movie that I don't want to be an actor. Like, so can you go? So this is the main question. If there's a takeaway here today is keeping this question alive. Like, what is my regenerative choice of the day? And think about what is a choice, what is regeneration, and it's important of the day at least, because every day is an opportunity, right? Going through that, don't be scared about taking those choices, because every choice you are making here in a global level is helping the Amazon. If you're buying from a supply chain that uses plastic or uses soy, 70% of the causes of the deforestation of the Amazon is soy for feeding the cows. So if you are having a regenerative diet, as we say also in Kiss the Ground in the movie, you are helping. So you can help at least in 3 dimensions: in your personal life. So if you're doing your own things, committed to yourself, in your community life, and in your ecosystem life. So your regenerative farming is including the native trees and the native bees and everything. You're talking to ecosystem. If you're doing a time bank in your community, you're changing the flow of power. So there are many dimensions that we can work together on regeneration. And this transition is basically from a paradigm shift from ego to eco. And ego means like scarcity, and eco means abundance, and so on. So power and control to distribution, fear to love, individual to collective, hierarchical to decentralized, and somehow sustainability to regeneration. I learned from this monk called Mathieu Richard. He wrote this book, The Monk and the Executive. So he's a geneticist who became a monk, and he's interviewing his father, who is an executive of a multinational. And this is the book. And he said to me once that sustainability is sustaining a lifestyle that doesn't exist, because it's sustaining human comfort zone, not considering the other 4.5 billion species. So what are we sustaining with sustainability? Are we sustaining hope? Because hope is not enough anymore. So, and regeneration maybe is the actual word code that we can use to get the next word code. So it's a dilemma, yeah? A dilemma never has a solution, it has a resolution. So we're just on this stage of this dilemma. And the next stage, maybe we're gonna find another word code that he still hasn't downloaded yet, but we need to at least leave the ego a little bit behind and come to a more circular decision, to be more protagonist of our choices, to be more temporal, like how we do this, thinking about the grandchildren of our grandchildren, not only our grandchildren, because our grandchildren we can see in time, but we need to work for someone we don't see in time, that is more ecocentric somehow. And we need to start somehow. and focusing on a regenerative and viable strategy is what the world needs today. What is the focus on a regenerative viable strategy for farming is what we're going to start doing with Andrew, with the hemp. In a small place, we're going to start trying a new way of doing farming for hemp, and then we expand a little bit, and then we get traction, but it's viable. Yeah, so it's how do we start now? And can you go to them? And nature finds viability. Yeah, if we see how some animals they behave, and we do a biomimicry study on that. Like I have studied phenomenology as a master's, and how do we learn from nature to create viability? Like how do we learn from a coyote that to thrive? Not learn from a YouTube video. A coyote has more to teach us than a YouTube video, than an influencer. So how can we learn from nature? That's a way of searching for viability. And I think this I learned from my Aikido mentor. Think big, start small from where you are. There's no way of thinking big and starting big, because big is already an obsession that was introduced that is not part of nature. If we see nature is cooperation, it's not competition. So this is another transition we should work on. I need to run, right? That's good. Yeah, and we need to use the tools we have. So this is the way they transport how he's gonna build the house in the Amazon. So that's the way you transport things. We can be creative. We can use our own resources. We don't need to buy more resources or produce more plastic or produce to spend. So this is help getting to the words starting last night. This is not the final bag, but we are joining two forces together, which is hemp and kelp. And we are learning from hemp and kelp how they can heal the planet and heal the system, including the economic system, from dairy slavery to regenerative freedom farming. In this country, in other countries, it's other lobbies that are under control, but we have dairy here under control. And that's the importance of whatever we are starting today. We are starting a business, but we are starting an activism business. So it's an activist in a way that we are not against something. We are in favor of all. It's a different way of, it's a different perspective of activism. And Susie Newborn, the rainbow warrior from Greenpeace, she lives in my neighborhood, and she's pretty much into that as well now. She's not against and purely against things. She's teaching like how can we flow into things and be in favor of things. It's a different perspective. I'm sorry, I'm finishing. The main goal of our company is to regenerate biomes and bring resilience to communities by using food as a strategy. So the strategy we found is people eat every day. So it's a chance 3 times a day to change the system. You can use other strategies. We need all the strategies. Our recipe is to bring together taste, regeneration, and nutritional profile to your life, especially iodine. 90-something% of New Zealanders are deficient in iodine. 22 billion people in the world. This has a strong relationship with thyroid cancer. We believe they're more than consumers. We are all planetary citizens. We are all part of the solutions because we can be, if we choose daily to be. And the profile of health is basically everything that is good in hemp, everything that is good in kelp, plus carbon sequestration, plus soil microbiome nurturing. So you can taste help later on the cafe, but we can't forget something that we learned from the hemp conference last year together, that hemp is a plant, and go back to learn from nature. So first of all, it's a plant. Second, hemp is innovative. We have more than 5,000 uses for hemp. Like Henry Ford made a car made by hemp. Antoine is making houses. He's living in the house. So there are several uses. It's innovation. But next slide is the risk. it's also becoming commodities. Also, people are treating hemp as the next billion-dollar company. It's also becoming a productized. I was living in Santa Monica in California, and it's devastating what's happening with hemp, especially recreational. It's also becoming part of the power concentration. So the biggest DJs, they have their brands, and the biggest musicians. So I'm finishing. I know hemp is regenerative, is the opportunity. It's a long list why hemp is regenerative. We can discuss the whole day only about that. A global brand that activates local solutions is based on a plant that activates solutions. So hemp has this power. It grows in the 6 continents. It has the 20 amino acids of the protein. Only quinoa has the same protein as hemp, and quinoa only grows in the high Andes and some parts of New Zealand, but hemp is versatile. Again, I will need to jump this. It's yeah.
Keep going.
So this is about business model, like what we are thinking about. Go back one. A conventional business model is profitable. So a sustainable business model is profitable plus eco-efficient, adding value to local community and long-term results. But sustainability is a slower way to die. Let's put like this. We're just postponing problems. I'm sorry we are in the sustainable place here. People should regenerative business adds carbon positive and zero waste value chain, effective for biomes and society. And basically, the whole idea is you're adding more than extracting. That's why sustainability is a slower way to die. You extract and then you mitigate the problem. So you're always on minus. Here you are always on plus. And I think food is again. So this is the cashew nuts that you eat. This is the cashew fruit.
Right.
This is the cashew harvest. This is not the cashew tree. Sorry, but food is essential for us to as an innovation because of in 2050 with a population of 9 billion people in the world, we need 50% more food, which means. From 2010 to 2050, the farmers like Andrew will need to produce an amount similar to everything that has been produced since agriculture started in 10,000 BC. So that's why the solution of chemicals and fertilizer is so effective, because you can produce lots of grains at once, but the grains are not feeding the people, are feeding the cows, and then you need to keep putting supplements in the soil. The soil health is not being treated here. They're talking about food, and this is Pricewaterhouse, who is selling these reports to multinationals. So there's some small text that is not here, but I think this is the end. It's time to help. There's no more time to wait or to waste. And this is our invitation to be part of this mandala of change, like being regenerative every day, and as using help as a choice of food is being part of the solution already. So it's also an invitation to try. Okay, thank you so much.
Brilliant. All right, without further ado, Michael and Igor are going to address some of the questions you may have.
Do we have time, like for now?
You've got 10, yeah, a whole hour and 10 minutes, minus the hour. Yeah.
Let's go fast. So one of the things that there are some blogs, like some from kelp, some from hemp, some from regeneration, some that are like almost could be a philosophical, economical perspective, like how can we stop cutting down trees? There's a way to stop cutting down trees, it's just not cutting. One way of doing is doing regenerative forestry, which is, for example, in Brazil, a company that I worked to do the business plan with them 9 years ago. They do the management of 1 square kilometer, manages 600 species of trees. They will cut trees from every place, from every section, in every 15 years. So they will manage the forest, and they prove that the value of the forest is higher when you work in the services of the forest, in the nuts, in the oils, in everything. When you cut a super big tree in every 15 years, you earn more money because it's bigger. So it's a regenerative way of forestry conservation and regeneration. This is one way. How do you push the alphabetical way to empower people to make that next step? I think there are mainly today I see two forms. One is by fear. So some people will react because they are afraid. And some people, they will react because they want to be part of the solution. And it's kind of A or B. I know I'm in Brazil, people are reacting because of fear. The government is destroying everything. The Amazon is on fire. The economy is broken. We can make the list. So people are dying because of COVID, of hunger. 50% of the population is illiterate, considered illiterate. So they react by fear. We have such a wonderful privilege here to choose the other way, to be part of the solution. So I think this alphabetical thing is basically a human essential question. Like, am I a spiritual being, and what I want to do with this body? Yeah? Do I want to leave this body as the body that honors the land that will rest? So I need to nurture myself with the best food, because I will be the ashes of my body will be nurturing the food for my grandson. So I will need to do my best. How can we change so-claimed laws that allow us to grow hemp in New Zealand? Then I invite you to.
Thank you, Igor.
Hemp activist.
So yeah, just a little bit of an update on where we are with the law. So first of all, when we go out here, we're going to have samples of all the different versions of hemp. So we've got whole raw hemp seeds, we've got hemp hearts, we've got crushed whole raw hemp seeds, and we've got sprouted and freeze-dried hemp seeds, all available out here for you to look at and try. And we also have kelp, which is a combination of the crushed whole raw hemp seeds and the kelp. And so yeah, and there'll be a chance for us to talk about all of that when we get out there. So right now, the whole raw hemp seed is not legal to sell to people that don't have a license, and nor is it legal to sell the flowers and the leaves of the hemp plant. That's illegal, and as a food, and nor is it legal to sell the hemp root as a food. So everyone thinks hemp's legal, but there's actually only a few things that are legal, and the really key things: the whole raw viable seed that you can eat raw, you can sprout, you can microgreen. That's illegal, right? And the hemp flower and the hemp leaf, which is where all the medicinal qualities are also illegal. Now, the seed, Richard Barge might be able to answer this. Actually, let's leave this and see what comes out of Richard's talk. But there is a movement in Australia right now to free the whole plant. There's an application being put in by some very high-powered lawyers who have had success with this sort of thing before. So there is possibility that the whole plant could be legalized in Australia. And because New Zealand and Australia food standards are completely connected, they have 6 votes, we have 1. If they change it in Australia, we will get that benefit here. So here's hoping that by the end of next year, hemp is completely legal, but until then, we can all be activists.
It's an important question that I forgot to talk about when I was showing this. What do you mean by incoherence? So what do I mean? My search for incoherence, and that's fundamental to know for me, is what you think, what you feel, what you speak, and what you do are the same thing, and you are not causing any harm for any other sentient being. I think if you reach that, let me know the formula. The other day, Dalai Lama made a joke, and oh, excuse me, it was a bad joke. So even Dalai Lama is not. We still have time, or?
Yeah, you got 3-4 minutes.
How do we have such a low amount of iodine in our diet? The soil of New Zealand is poor in iodine, in selenium. So if you eat 3 Brazil nuts per day, you have your selenium per day. If you go to the ocean and get some kelp and eat, you don't need to buy our product, but our product will be selling on the website soon, maybe in 3 weeks, hopefully. What are some of the barriers and roadblocks you're experiencing developing this product? I think mostly the lobby that don't allow us to sell a plant. And what we got the conclusion is like, if you go to any place, any party, anywhere in New Zealand, you can buy alcohol, you can buy wine, but the same would be, you can buy wine, you can buy beer, or you can buy anything that comes from, that uses sugar, but sugar cane is illegal. That's what's happening with hemp. Like the plant is illegal, but you can buy the versions of it, and it's kind of legal. But Al Capone was arrested in the US because he was trafficking alcohol. So the sugar cane is causing the obesity of this country. The third level of obesity in the world is New Zealand, and we are not talking about this drug. So I don't know if there's any misunderstanding here. What problem is this problem? What problem is this problem? Is this product solving for the mainstream customer? I think mainly the iodine, and secondly, like how can we see us part as a solution? Because some of us we still don't know where to start. So this is one way of starting every day, and this is pushing you, and the messages will be positive. We'll be posting all the time. Be part of the solution. Choose to be a planetary citizen. We're not allowing to see ourselves alone anymore, because we are in this together. How does hemp farming serve the transition from ego to eco? Andrew will talk more later, but hemp basically is a mid-sized bush. It's not competing against sunlight. You can introduce lots of other plants together to do a syntropic agriculture or regenerative farming as well. We're going to start trying new techniques there, but it's also a carbon sequestration machine. A living being. It sequestrates 4 times more carbon than the plant in the same size. So combined, we're going to be a vacuum cleaner of CO2 with kelp in the ocean and hemp in the land.
Last question.
Last questions. There's about clothing. Basically, the kelp is. Oh.
I was just going to say, there's one here. Can you please go through the regenerative qualities of hemp? So hemp is considered to be one of the most regenerative plants on the planet, and one of the world's #1 phytoremediation plant, which means it repairs the soil. And they planted it around Chernobyl, hundreds of hectares to clean up the soil after the radiation there. So it has a phenomenal ability to pump carbon down into the soil, because it grows 4 times the rate of trees, 4 times as much biomass as trees. So it is the world's #1 phytoremediation plant, and yes, you can weave it. And there's a lot of talk now about weaving it, and we need to start talking about that later.
All right.
Final, which is very crucial.
Yeah.
There are 2. What's the story about the Pete the dog? You should tell do you and we know our carbon footprint? That's a good question, because the next industry will be carbon, like selling carbon credits, which is another. We are postponing again the death, because it's another industry selling not native trees to sequestrate carbon, to put in a cycle that is not generating life. So what are the choices that we are doing that are generating life? Carbon credits are not generating life in long term. It's a short term that shouldn't exist as a solution. It's a transition solution. Okay? I don't know. There are many other questions. Thank you so much. Maybe we can discuss them later.
And there's an hour for lunch later. So if you've got some questions, you want to sit with Igor, I'm sure he'll be available to talk about some of that. Yeah.